Hi, so this week's topic is dating and sexuality, and really they probably should be separate topics. I didn't really think this through, but I have a lot to say, so I'll try to start saying it. My dating experience as a trans man is fairly limited. I came out as transgender my freshman year of college, and I have dated like four people since then, but two of them I dated as a lesbian despite being out as trans. And I think that the most important take home message that I can give you has nothing to do with whether you should date lesbians or bisexuals or queer people or straight people or gay people. My message is always be true to yourself, which sounds incredibly contrived and not easily followed. But if you're in a relationship with someone and you have to hide part of yourself or put part of your identity on the back burner or not explore part of your identity, then you probably shouldn't be with them. Not because you should be selfish and only concerned about yourself, but because the other person accepting you is kind of a major part of a relationship. And this really wasn't their fault as much as it was me not feeling comfortable in the relationship to be out as a guy or really assert my male identity. Um, the first year of me being trans, I was actually in a relationship with a lesbian identified woman who was a little ambivalent about my transition, and it just didn't work out. It didn't pan out for reasons. Then I dated another lesbian, and it was more of a fling, and I just didn't feel like that baggage should be shared. I mean, I didn't see it as a fling at the time, but that's how I've kind of come to see it. And that brought me really up to my junior year of college, actually, from there. And by then I had decided to physically transition, and that's really where I start the dating as a trans person narrative. So I started out, I had only dated women, and I became very attracted emotionally, particularly emotionally, to a man, and a gay man, and he responded well, and I can't give you advice on how to pick people up. I have stated this in a video on my personal channel. I have no idea how these things come to be, but it worked out, right? So he was very receptive, um, and understanding of my trans identity. I had not yet physically transitioned, but I was completely socially transitioned. My name was legally changed, and I had set a date for starting testosterone a few months later. And so we dated for a couple of months, and it went really well. And it was just very, very, very positive to have someone affirm my identity as male, and he definitely did. Uh, I found that dating a gay man was just a completely different experience from dating any other type of person that I had dated. Um, I forgot to mention my freshman year, actually. This is weird. So I did date a straight woman my freshman year, I guess to go backwards. But she dated me as a woman because I came out as trans actually at the end of my freshman year. But that was an interesting experience that kind of got the whole gender ball rolling in a way. But anyway, back. So dating a man. I think that, especially since I was pre-T, I'm starting to think that maybe, like, certainly I am not going to judge other people's experiences if testosterone makes them gay or anything like that. I mean, only you can tell if that happened. But for me, I felt like there was this box that I was forced into because masculine women like women. And I felt like, well, what am I? A masculine woman. So I had to like women. And to be a lesbian, you pretty much can't like men. So I felt really trapped in that box, and I hadn't dated men in my adult life. I dated a man before coming out as trans. It wasn't a great experience, but I dated a man as a straight woman. And I really wanted that experience. I really felt like there was a level of attraction to men. And it turns out that I'm primarily attracted to women, but in this case, I was attracted to a man, and um, the relationship didn't pan out. And then the other experience I have with dating during my transition has been this relationship that I've been in for the past year, and that has been with my current girlfriend, who uh, doesn't want to be in any of my videos. She does not enjoy seeing herself on camera as much as I do. But we live together. We've lived together for the past since the summer began. And we started dating the week before I started testosterone. So I guess we've only been dating like 11 months or something. But anyway, so the week or the month I started testosterone. Anyway, so that was an interesting roller coaster ride to be on with someone. When we met, it was actually a year before we started dating. We met, and we met at a Women in Gender Studies conference on trans issues. So she had just gotten done going to all of these sessions about trans things and very educated about trans issues. And she saw me present, and that's actually how she met me. I met her at a queer event later. But so she was already educated about trans issues and knew what she was getting into. And I really can't tell you how to replicate that situation, but that's just my experience. And we just really hit it off, and she was incredibly accepting of my identity. And she's just a very calm, stable person in general. I mean, not always, not everyone is all the time, but generally. And I think that really helped because I was going crazy, like, I'm gonna start tea, I don't know what's gonna happen, my life's gonna go crazy. And she was just sort of like a calming presence. And she just, I don't it takes a really special person, I think, to say, yeah, you're gonna change physically, emotionally, and mentally in the next few months, but it'll be fine. I just, for all the girlfriends and boyfriends and significant others out there who are able to go through with a partner's transition, I really admire you because it was hard for me being the person transitioning, let alone being the person on the sidelines who has very little control over what's going on. And I just really admire that. So she went through that. She helped me through my top surgery and my recovery. She didn't go with me to Florida, but she was definitely there when I came home and had to put up with me not being able to move or do anything. And we're very serious, and that has panned out for me. There are some relationship issues that are caused by me being trans. Number one being insecurity and sort of anxiety about my body and attractiveness and blah 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 blah. And I've talked about that in other videos on my personal channel and on here, so I won't elaborate. But that's definitely an issue that's fairly unique to being trans, but not entirely unique. And another issue is that it comes with this whole layer of baggage. So I'm worried about her mom finding out that I'm trans, who we are still, since the month we started dating, have been in debate over whether or not to tell her. Her sister finding out, her extended family finding out, concern about what it would mean to tell our children that I'm trans. All of these baggage kind of issues. So that's dating. I have always been nervous about dating while trans. I am incredibly lucky that it is just kind of worked out for me. I don't know what I would do going out now. I've never dated someone while I was stealth or had to come out to someone as trans. I live in a very small town. Kelly had known about me through friends too. I had a very good friend who I had several friends who knew her, so it was no big deal, right? Uh, so I can't really give good advice. But another thing that I want to talk about before the video is up is sexuality in general. I think that sexuality does change a little bit on T, and I don't mean who you're sexually attracted to, but the way you experience sexuality. I definitely have a different relationship to my body, a different relationship to the way I'm attracted to people since I started testosterone. I think that has a lot to do with the confidence that comes with starting T, but also it has to do with just the way the brain is just a little bit different. I think that men are a little more visual, and this is a stereotype again, but I think there might be a little bit something to that. I talked about this in my personal blog a lot. I'm sorry, I'm definitely going over what I would feel comfortable with in terms of time, but sexuality is definitely fluid in my case. I identify as queer, and one of the reasons I identify as queer, and I talked about this on my personal blog earlier, is that not only is my history queer and my identity is queer gender wise, but I think it's just a little bit queer for me, and this is my perspective, and I'm not putting it on anyone else, but it's a little bit queer for me to be in a relationship with anybody, right? So I thought it was queer when I was a female-bodied individual dating a gay man. I thought that that was queer because it was gay and because it was just different. It's not normative, right? And I think it's a little queer for me to be a female-bodied individual dating a female-bodied queer individual, queer-identified individual. Because my girlfriend identifies as queer. So really anything I do just feels queer because I identify as a queer person. I don't entirely identify as a man. I identify as a sort of male person who has a bit of female history, because I do claim that, and is a little genderqueer. I mean, I kind of identify as, right? I mean, that's an identity, right? You can check the box. It's like male, female, so that would be in the category. So that's why I feel pretty queer. And I think that trans sexuality, and not the one word, but two words, the sexuality of trans people, it's a thing. We have a culture. We have a way, an essence, I guess. And uh, not all of us claim that, but I do. And I'm not saying it's bad or good, but I definitely think that my sexuality is impacted by the fact that I'm trans and the flavor of it, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so definitely overstayed my welcome. So I will let the next person carry on with talking about this topic.